Top Gear GTI in half an hour after we've enjoyed some of the best moments from 21 years of television's shiniest car show.
Welcome to Top Gear X-Files. Now, if like me you're a child of the 70s, then along with the blonde one out of Pan's People, this racy MGB would have been the stuff of adolescent fantasy. So, this is just the show for you. It's all the best bits from 2 decades of Top Gear. In this week's show, the car that never did quite replace the Mini, Vicky Butler Henderson's first drives with a few expletives deleted, and Jeremy Clarkson's slavers all over Lamborghini's delicious Diablo. But first, the McLaren F1, quite possibly the ultimate road car. Gordon Murray had set out to design a car with F1 style technology and performance, and as Tiff explains, he did it.
He wanted out of the Grand Prix scene, and Ron Dennis gave him the green light to build his ideal road car. So, have all Gordon Murray's dreams come true? Is this a usable supercar? Well, it's light and easy to drive, the visibility is superb, the engine will dawdle along as slow as you want it to, and here in the middle there's a CD sound system all around you that's been honed to perfection. And there's even room to take the whole family shopping. Parking is a doddle, and there's no problem with opening the doors. So this really is a supercar you could use every day. But I can't really see the owners doing the shopping. They'll have staff to do that, a helicopter for the golf course, and a Learjet for the weekend away. What the buyers of this McLaren F1 will want to do, and what you've all been waiting for me to do, is give it some stick. I think we better find a private circuit. On this Goodwood racetrack, this McLaren is unbelievable. But perhaps the most impressive part is the engine. It just goes on accelerating, accelerating and accelerating. And it's not just the 627 horsepower of the V12, but it's the massive torque of the motor. Whatever gear you're in, if you open the throttle, there's a massive power through this chicane in second. Open the power and whoa! Wheel spin in second, third, fourth. Just accelerates on and on and on. Braking, very impressive. That foil coming up at the rear to keep the car stable under braking. But it's opening this throttle, which you just cannot believe how quick this car goes. The handling is, well, it's an exceptional for a car with this power. But of course, good though the handling is, it's still a lively car. There's mild understeer as you turn in. But once you've got the power on, the only thing you're going to get is oversteer. It sounds so glorious behind you. Turn in this long corner, bit of oversteer. Up to third. Bit more oversteer. Whoa! On this straight now, I'm up to fifth. Up to sixth gear, and it's still accelerating harder and harder. I just read 160 there before I stamp on the brakes. Into Woodcote, third gear. Oh, and you just want to
Now here's something very strange. No, not Frank's Cardi. It was in fact a sort of mechanic's mastermind. Amateur DIYers from all over the country were invited to spot the faults on a series of identical Ford Escorts, with our Frank in the Magnus Magnusson role.
There are actually 8 faults here, and they start off with 5 in the engine compartment. For example, one of the spark plugs has the wrong gap. That's got to be found fairly simple. A bit more difficult, 2 tappets out of adjustment. And the ignition timing is too far advanced, so that's down here under the distributor. The points gap is also too small, so that has to be sorted out on the distributor as well. The fan belt is a bit slack. That's down here. They'll have to work on that one. Then there's a couple of levels which are not correct. First of all, the washer bottle level, absolutely empty, actually. And over here, much more serious, the brake fluid level's a bit low. Then outside the engine compartment itself, there's an indicator which isn't working.
3, 2... And they're off, and so are we, but we'll be back later.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, it's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call the police, there's a madman around, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. In a West End town, a dead end world, the East End boys and West End girls. West End girls. Too many shadows, whispering voices, faces on posters, too many choices.
Just as much as a Mary Quant miniskirt or a George Best goal, the Mini epitomised the swinging 60s. By the 70s, that was proving something of a problem, because in the decade of the wedge, the curvy old Mini looked decidedly old hat.
Our story starts in 1975 with this prototype that British Leyland built to replace the Mini. But of course they kept the Mini and decided to create something a bit bigger. And this is it, the Metro, launched in 1980.
Yes, here it is at last, the Mini Metro. Probably the most important all-British motor car to be launched for a generation. And
Top Gear decided to play down the minus points, like the ancient A-Series engine, and play up the plus points, like, well, the long service intervals.
the other way you can save money with the Metro too is on your maintenance costs, because the length of service between each service is 12,000 miles or 1 year. Which means so it only goes in the garage once a year and your bills are that much lower. That's going to mean a lot to the budget-conscious family motorist. The other thing you notice...
The future of much of what was left of Britain's car industry lay with the Metro, and it even won a design award from that renowned car and design expert, Prince Philip.
Choice of the Metro design team to receive the Designer's Prize for 1981.
In a triumph of optimism over common sense, they even tried to export the Metro to the home of the small car. This Italian job spoof was filmed at the launch of the car in Italy. It wasn't so much that the Metro was a bad design, but it was badly made, and those A-Series engines were pensionable. The Metro did get better. It changed its name too to the Rover 100. There were new engines and a modern new look, but it was all far too little, far, far too late.
These days, drivers expect things like power steering as standard, and while it's not strictly necessary on the 100, it would save a bit of work when parking. It's not even optional on the Rover, which is a bit disappointing when VW's excellent Polo has that, plus ABS brakes and an airbag all in. And it can carry more shopping. The 100 is a clever attempt to upgrade the Metro, but Rover desperately need an all-new small car. Just when, BMW aren't saying. But in my view, it can't come soon enough.
The Rover 100 was probably a smash hit in Grange-over-Sands and Eastbourne, but it didn't really set the world on fire. And by '97, it was all over for the Metro.
Last year, while you were wrapping your Christmas presents, a British motoring institution passed quietly away unnoticed.
After 17 years, the production lines of the Austin Metro, lately known as the Rover 100, have shuddered to a halt. The abominable Austin is no more. And far from shedding a misty-eyed tear, I say, goodbye, baby, and amen.
So that's the new Mini Metro. It's spacious, it's lively in performance, and it's very economical to run. Yes, it does have a few rough corners, but I do think that at prices that start just over £3,000 and go up to around £4,000, it's very competitive. I really believe and hope it's going to breathe new life into BL.
That's it for part one. Time to pull into the services on this journey through 20-odd years of Top Gear. Coming up in part two, Jeremy Clarkson slavering all over Lamborghini's delicious Diablo. But first, a car he wasn't quite so enthusiastic about.
At low speeds, things aren't too bad, but take it toward the red line and you'll need ear defenders. We are talking loud. We are also talking vibrations. At high engine speeds, the gear lever, the pedals, well, everything really vibrates horribly. It'll be a year before a new range of 16-valve engines arrive, but until then, the choice is both limited and nasty.
Never mind the engine, the worst part of the car, as far as I'm concerned, is this steering. It's not too heavy while you're parking, but there are 4.5 turns to go from lock to lock, and that means there's an immense amount of arm twirling. It would drive me mad. It's almost as though this car has been designed exclusively for British fleet managers. Now they buy a car like you or I buy a microwave oven. We're not bothered about whether the thing has character, just as long as it cooks our food. They're not bothered about whether a car drives well or not. They just want it to be easy to buy, easy to run, and easy to sell. And that just about sums up this car's abilities, or more to the point, it sums up Ford's abilities. And make no mistake, it's not a bad car. Yes, it's got a horrible engine and the steering's a joke, but it moves about, it steers, it stops. The trouble is that there are loads of cars that move about and steer and stop, and most of them do an awful lot more besides.
It's called the Diablo.